It's already February, but sick season is still in full swing. From sinus infections and strep throat to lingering upper respiratory issues, germs are still making the rounds. No need to deal with the hassle of sickness, though, because this compact blue case is your portable urgent care, stocked with ivermectin, Z-Pak, amoxicillin, and 6 other essential prescription medications right at your fingertips. With the Wellness Company's medical emergency kit, you can tackle serious health concerns without worrying about urgent care. This kit cuts through the red tape by allowing you to take control of your health versus being reactive and inconvenienced. You don't need a gatekeeper because their medical board created a guidebook that outlines common treatments for UTIs, strep throat, bacterial infections, respiratory illnesses, and more. All it takes is filling out a digital intake form and your kit arrives at your door in 1 to 2 weeks. Order your kit now by heading over to twc.health/beans and use code BEANS to save up to $30 off plus free shipping. That's twc.health/beans and use code BEANS for $30 off plus free shipping. This kit's available to U.S. residents only. We're here. It's Friday.
We're back. It feels like it's been years.
It does feel like it's been years. And it almost has been years because we crossed over into 2025.
It's technically been a year. It's been a calendar page turn or two.
Yeah, what's been going on with you, Frank? What's been going on? Like, we've talked here and there, we've had some things, but what's going on?
Oh, just taking life in stride and keeping my head above water, and every once in a while going for a swim. So it's just it's one of those things. There's always something to be excited about. You always have to put something on the calendar to look forward to. Like, for example, in May for Lauren and I's anniversary, we're going to go back to Maine for an extended weekend just before Memorial Day. Aurora loves Maine, so we drive up there and pick some blueberries. I don't know, and just have a lobster roll. And that's that. Oh, I signed Aurora up for T-ball yesterday.
Oh my gosh!
So I'm gonna.
Are you coaching?
No, I got in touch with my friends, all the guys at the league. I said, guys, she's 4. I think it's time. She goes, oh. They said, oh yes, it is. I said, but listen, I'm not babysitting. Once she gets up to minor major league level, like 10, 11, 12, I will I'll volunteer again. I'll do some assistant coaching, where I can go. But right now, where it's just kids running all over the place and it doesn't look like baseball, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that.
It is such a free-for-all T-ball. It is a free-for-all nutso experience.
I know. I've seen it from a distance.
Like, I used to go to my nephew's because William didn't do T-ball. So I used to go to my nephew's T-ball games. It's like there are no rules. There's just chaos. It's insane.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
So, well, how about you? How's that? Your children continue to become adults every day, and there's so much I can't keep up with in the world with French. I try my best to just keep up with friends. It's like because everybody has their own world as well, and then we have the world that we all live in together.
How exciting has that world been? My gosh, I'm on cloud frickin' 9. The whole show this week, I've been bouncing around like a frickin'. It's been so exciting. I am so overwhelmingly blown away by what we're seeing going on. It's so good. Life-wise, Life-wise, I'm trying to allow you to live vicariously through me, Frank, with my kids, because it's all of a sudden your daughter's turning 19 and you're like, what? Like my daughter, for example, she drove down to Florida by herself this week.
Okay.
And she texted and she was like, is this allowed? Like, I'm literally in another state, in a place where I don't live, walking through a store by myself with no parental supervision. Is this allowed?
Tracy, I still feel that way about myself. Like, I still feel that way about myself, especially when you have, it's when you are so close to your family and you guys are very close. That never goes away. Like, whenever I'm alone and just doing something that's outside the routine, I really soak it up because it's an alien experience,
It's like I look around sometimes that like I am paying my own mortgage and like water bill and like I have 2 children that are dependent. It's just I'm technically like considered young, I guess, because I don't know. In my generation, like in my age, my friends were not having kids till they were in their mid to late 30s. And I had mine when I was in my early to mid 20s. And so like now I'm like, they're running around after 6 and 7-year-olds. And I'm like, mine are pretty much cooked. They're pretty much finished. They're like out there exploring the world. Like my son just turned 16. My little William, 16. It's so weird.
It's part of what I believe is the great deception of our time societally. And it's something that I realize because I'm a part of it too. I just think about how many children Lauren and I would have had if I didn't have this stupid idea in my head where I was not ready to settle down. What were you doing? No, we were, just like, when Lauren and I got back to, we started dating. My, our love story was in the latest bulletin, along with a snapshot of you and Will. I love this month's, quite frankly, bulletin. There's so much good stuff in there, and Lauren and I, this September is going to be 20 years that we met and started dating, from 2005 until about August 2006, and then we
Same
broke
with us,
up.
by the way.
What's that?
Same amount of time I've been with Will.
20 years?
Mm-hmm.
That's fantastic. I mean, see, so, but we broke up for like 3 years, finished college, all that stuff. We found each other again in 2009. And I gotta tell you, it took me until like maybe 2013 to, let's not have any titles. Let's not have any titles. I'm so blessed that she was just so patient with me. Like, what the hell was I? I don't know, but I think everybody's given that, and it's different if you're a guy, it's different if you're a girl. You got to go out and see the world, establish your career, all that stuff, and then what you realize is, and more people come to this realization later on when they're not, in the middle of all the fun, is that, like you said, late 30s, 40s, chasing around 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds. We didn't have Aurora until I was 35. But there's other reasons for that too. But everybody's encouraged to put everything off.
I agree.
Everybody is, and for different. It's tailored to you if you're a guy or a girl.
You know what's so funny too is that you have no idea what we're talking about anytime you join us. You don't have a clue, right? I'm gonna show. Who? Like, you don't know what I have planned for today. Like, you have no idea. All right.
No.
So let's just watch this real quick, and then we can have you comment on it.
God, I'm so irritated. I am so irritated right now.
Why are you irritated?
Can you, let me get it out and not cut me off, please? Like, really? Can you just let me talk, and I will tell you?
Off. I'm just asking why you're irritated. You said you paused after you said you was irritated. So I asked why you was...
I never paused. And now I see that you're getting mad, so I don't even want to talk to you. I'm not going to deal with that.
I'm not mad.
Well, I feel that you're mad, and this is why I can't talk to you.
You can talk to me.
No, I clearly can't.
I was just asking why you were irritated.
You were asking, and then you cut me off when I was trying to tell you. But now
I never cut you off.
You did cut me off, and I don't want to talk about it
I
anymore.
never cut you off though.
You did cut me off, and I was trying to tell you, but now I see that you're gonna get mad and cut me off, so I can't tell you anything now. It's fine.
All I
wait.
asked was why you was irritated. I was trying to be supportive. I was trying to.
Well, now it is what it is. Are you gonna say something? Say something.
I don't know what to say. I'm confused.
So what you're saying is I'm confusing you. So you're confused about being with me? You don't know if you want to be
I
with
never
me or not?
said that.
So what are you saying? Because you're cutting me off, getting mad, and telling me that you don't want to be with me. Now what? What else? Oh my
You
God.
men don't have an effing chance.
Well, she might. It doesn't even need anybody in the room. doesn't even need anybody else in the room. Now, I don't have any. That feels like past relationships, not with Lauren.
I
If that-
don't do that to Will either.
If that was Lauren, we wouldn't be together. I couldn't, because I think, I was talking about this the other day. You ever walk around? I know you have, because you're human. You ever walk around with that feeling of existential dread? You ever have that feeling?
Yes, I have. Yes.
Yeah. So it's the same kind of feeling. Like I told my mother, I don't know how long ago. I sat down. I went down to go say hello to her. I'm putting my shoes on. Something. I said, I feel like I should be worried about something, and I'm not. I don't know what it is. And I've got this existential dread bubbling in my stomach. And what it reminded me of was being in a bad relationship where you wake up every day, you don't know which version of your girl or your guy you're going to get. Are you guys going to be on good terms? Is there going to be some kind of weird tension there that is never going to be defined? And that you don't want to go through the bullshit of a breakup again, but you can kind of feel it's coming. Oh God, I don't miss those days at all.
I say it all the time. Like, I don't know how people date nowadays. With freaking women are batshit insane. They're crazy.
Everything is worse across the board though, because we were not made to handle. We were not designed for the technology that we are immersed in all day long. We were not designed for this kind of exposure. It has presented us with really amazing economic opportunities, mass communication opportunities for talk shows and diversifying media and all that stuff. But what it has done to people on individual levels, it's not a cop out to keep going to, the technology, the social media these days, but it is making relationships far more psychotic, and you don't get anybody's attention really fully.
I was going to name today's show Big Balls.
I love that. I'm like you said, there's so many amazing things happening right now.
I was going to name it Big Balls because I have a clip here. Hold on. I have a clip here of, where is it? I'm out of order, but let's see. Oh, here it is. Here we go.
So this is a 19-year-old high school graduate who has used the unfortunate nickname Big Balls online. So that would be one way that we could refer to him. He is now working at Musk's behest inside Doge. And we looked into his background. And so we found, several notable things, Aaron, one of which is that this individual has founded multiple companies, including one with another unfortunate name, Tesla.Sexy LLC, which he established in 2021. He would have been around 16 years old. Now, this LLC controls dozens of web domains. School graduate who has used the unfortunate nickname Big Balls online.
This woman went home and went to the bathroom mirror, started wiping off all her makeup. And if she actually said to herself, "You did a good job today," then she has no clue how big of a joke her life has become.
The funniest thing ever was the lower third that's being passed around. I said it yesterday. The legacy media is, television specifically, is literally just responding to X posts all day.
It's us. They respond to us all day long. I mean, and you remember the first time that this really happened in a notable way was what's his name? D's Nuts.
Oh yeah. Then. No, it was the three. Was it that, or was it the three alleged Tesla employees that quit and they had all fake names and it was like Ligma or something or other?
That came after D's Nuts. D's Nuts was like 2015. He was a young kid who filed and put his name in as a candidate in like Iowa.
Oh
or something.
yeah.
Yeah, D's Nuts.
Oh
It's not just a disconnect, because you know what, Tracy, if you and I owned CNN, if we owned the property that was CNN, that includes their access, their television, their uplinks, their studios, all that stuff, if we owned that property, people would start watching television again at least a little bit more, because we would do something interesting with it.
Yeah, we would.
So it's not necessarily, I know that the technology is becoming more obsolete, but it's just that these people are far more disconnected from the culture that they thought they were in control of. They're so disconnected.
We hit critical mass. Finally,
Yeah,
we did.
I think we did.
We hit critical mass. I've been saying that like everywhere I can because it's important and it means something. Here, this is what they're all mad about.
Ask, like, where would you start with government efficiency? It's kind of like being in a room where the entire room is targets. And so you can shoot in any direction and not miss. Now, we do have a fundamental issue, which is that the government is spending far more than it brings in. And the reality is that all government spending is actually taxation. All government spending is taxation. Sometimes people think some of it is taxation and some of it's not, but it's all taxation because the part that is not covered by tax revenue becomes inflation. So you're either taxed directly or you're taxed by inflation, but you're for sure taxed. And so all government spending is taxation. So we have to reduce government spending overall. Like this will be forced upon us in the future. The interest payments now exceed the Defense Department budget, which is $1 trillion a year. That's a lot of money. So just the interest on the debt exceeds what we spend on the military. Just the interest. And that is rising rapidly. So it can't be like, we'll trim a little bit here and there. That's not going to work. There have to be quite radical reductions in cost.
Amen. Reduce the hell out of it all.
Oh,
It's music to my libertarian ears.
gosh.
It's just, and seeing these people, like I have this clip right here. Listen, truthfully, I don't know if you agree with me here, Frank, but a lot of these things, like these programs they're identifying, they're minuscule to me. They're important, and I'll tell you why in a second. But the most important thing is the propaganda network they've been funding all over the place. However, I don't believe that the $24 million or whatever that they sent over to like Syria for LGBTQ journalism training is actually used for that. I think it's laundering.
Oh yeah, it's absolutely. And I made the point on that when I heard about $50 million for the condoms in Gaza.
Yes. Yes.
Even culturally, they're not going to use the condoms. They don't use condoms out there. That's why they outbreed us 5-1. So I said, okay, that's not happening. Number one, where is it going to? Now, nothing's minuscule in this respect because even little things like I had pointed this out over the course of this week now that everybody's just going through the ledger, but $500,000 that goes to Nepal to promote atheism.
Yeah. Important.
These are, $500,000 versus Donald Trump impounding $300 billion environmental slush fund doesn't seem like a lot. But when you are planting little tiny cultural poison pills,
yep,
like atheism and the nihilism that is eventually born from it, it is very, very significant. And that is on top of the fact that 1 penny to Nepal for anything would be unconstitutional.
Yeah. But we do have this. When you search for abortion now on the CDC, it gives you a suggestion to also try adoption.
Wow.
Now, I have something to say here. Everybody during the campaign was losing their minds. Like all of the very principled people were losing their minds on Donald Trump about his stance on abortion, right? And I didn't say a word about it because I couldn't reconcile marching in the March for Life 4 years ago or 5 years ago and then becoming this pro-choice, no respect for the sanctity of life person. Didn't make sense to me. And I was right to do that because this is a very pro-life presidency to the point where cabinet members have to be pro-life. They can't be pro-choice for the most part. 99, which is why they were hammering RFK on his abortion stance over and over and over again. And so it seems to be a requirement. But I wanted to play this clip of Nancy Mace, who annoys me, truthfully. She does, but this is important.
More than $10 million in taxpayer funds that were spent creating transgender mice, rats, and monkeys. These DEI grants funded painful and deadly transgender experiments that forced lab animals to undergo invasive surgeries and hormone therapies at universities across the country. For example, the Biden-Harris administration spent $2.5 million taxpayer dollars to study the fertility of transgender mice.
That's because they don't know what this shit is doing to humans. They don't know what it's doing to humans, so they're using the animals to do study post dispensing of this poison to figure out what happens. Can they bear children anymore? Who knows what their outcome is? Do they want them to be able to bear children anymore? Nobody really knows. But it's causing things like, I'm going all out of order. I'm bouncing around everywhere. Where is it? It's causing things like this. It should have been right here. The transgender guy who can't get his medication anymore because of the executive order, allegedly. I think I'm going to put it at the end just because, oh yeah, here's a freebie. Here we go. This is it. This guy.
So, just left the pharmacy and insurance isn't covering medications anymore. Thanks to executive orders that were signed, so I had to pay for them out of my own pocket. And I guess I'm just mostly recording this as an I told you so to certain family members.
Now. I don't know that this is even true. If it was denied because of an executive order, how is he must be getting it through a federal program somehow.
There must be some kind of a subsidy.
Yeah.
Because, and I don't know anybody who would go into the insurance business and would cover this stuff. I mean, if we can't get dental work done or anything else that is rejected because it's aesthetic, what function does it serve for a guy to be saucing himself up with estrogen so that he can?
You can just see, and this is the thing that I keep trying to strike. These people have lost connection with their souls. Yep. That's why they're searching for something to make them happy, and they've been convinced that it's this. And it's not. And they'll never be happy this way. They never will. And it's sad this is sad to me. That these people forgot who they are to the point where they're out there taking medicine like this to make themselves whole again. And it never will make them whole again. But the government shouldn't be subsidizing your effing estrogen pills, man. Sorry. No. Sorry. I had somebody call into the show yesterday who was saying they were doing a big prayer workshop and praying, and a lot of the people that run these charities that take in legal refugees are very distraught because their government funding's been cut off and they can't help these legal refugees get acclimated and with housing and all of that stuff. And I understand, but I said, how are they doing it? Are they just closing up shop now that the government spigot's drawn, to a close? And the answer was, well, actually, a lot of people have stepped up to donate privately. And I'm like,
oh,
there you go.
Voluntarism. Incredible. It's almost as if you don't steal money from people and redisperse it to meet the political end of one organization or another, one special interest or another, people will have more of their own disposable income to be more charitable.
Yes. Isn't it crazy how that works? Isn't it crazy how that works?
And isn't it crazy how it also would create more opportunities for everyday people to start organizations that they can actually, it could be their vocation, you know? Yeah, I mean, it's getting into the charity business. You would be able to support your own self, your own efforts. There are jobs in that. I mean, people can actually create new jobs because the government wouldn't be taking it all over.
Yeah.
No, it's
So-
like the fact that we have to ask permission to the government to be charitable and get any kind of approval from them to be charitable and start businesses that are. I mean, it's people just don't understand how we've been screwed and how we've been completely suppressed.
They're starting to. And this press secretary, I can take it.
Need to be on our hearts, and the president and this administration are committed to ensuring that these individuals get the funding that they need. And I would just say a strong message to Democrats who are out there pretending to be outraged about the long list of crap that this administration is cutting, federal waste and funding, like $2 million for sex changes in Guatemala, $6 million to fund tourism in Egypt, $20 million on a new Sesame Street show in Iraq, $4.5 million to combat disinformation in Kazakhstan. I could go on, and I'm happy to provide this list to every single one of you. Democrats are outraged that the American people want to be, they want their taxpayers going to good uses, not stuff like this. But then they're very quiet about the fact that there are still North Carolinians and people in California who have lost everything. And in the last 4 years, this federal government did nothing to help them. This president will continue to put Americans first. And I think the successes of this week so far speak to that. And it's only Wednesday. So
Amen. Amen. And then, and the media portion of it just gets me. Like Rogan went off on Bernie.
Amazing to watch all these left-wing people suddenly. Bernie Sanders making a post about how Donald Trump is trying to silence independent media was the wildest fucking gaslighting I think I've ever seen from a politician. Independent media? You mean fucking CBS? You mean CBS that edited that Kamala Harris interview to make it look like she had a really good point?
100%. And then I don't know if you caught Alex Soros reposting this claim that basically you have an unelected cabal wielding power. I mean, that's
you.
Yeah,
that's you, Alex. That's your dad. This is crazy.
Yeah, no, it's a very, very strange historical moment.
Also, it's like you haven't addressed any of the exposed corruption. All you're talking about is the horrors of dismantling this amazing organization. What about all the shit that they've uncovered? There's not even a counter argument. Like, no, we need to fund gender fluid dance in fucking Turkey. like, what are you talking about? We need $200 million for Starbucks Keurig cups.
$1,200 per coffee cup.
I know. Oh, and did you see the money that was being shelled out per Politico subscription?
What was it? Did they do the math?
What was it? $15,000? I don't know.
That's called money laundering.
No, it's ridiculous. See, here's the thing. And I was watching Elizabeth Warren on with Joy Reid. They're all. It's a wonderful thing.
It's
very
so transparent at this point. The American people are so awake. They
It's
really
delicious.
are. Oh.
And to see her, the Democrat position right now is so pathetic that they've chosen to complain that the president is delegating power and seeking advice and outside counsel, which is something that every successful small business owner in America does, not just a president would do. And I also said this on Twitter yesterday that in this respect, it's not really about Elon Musk because his co-president Elon Musk. It's not about Elon Musk. This money is all they had left. It's all they had left, and the position is so crazy because everybody but Joe Biden was president the last 4 years.
You are so good, Frank. You are so good. You just led me right into another clip that I have for today. Keep going.
I was just gonna say everybody, but it's no one would expect people of opposite parties to like the staff that is chosen for the opposition president that they surround themselves with. But nobody was, as much as we couldn't stand we couldn't stand Susan Rice or Cass Sunstein or anything else like that because they were birds of a feather. We knew we despised their worldview, but it would never occur to us to recharacterize the nature of the president and his staff to say, "Oh, well, those are his co-presidents." You know, we didn't because again, before you get to your point there, in June to early July of 2024, before they pushed Joe Biden out the door and off of the campaign trail, there were members of his staff that were out there and saying, oh, we know that he's old. We know that his memory slips a little bit, but just remember, he's very successful. And you're not electing one person when you elect the president. They said you're electing a team. You're electing all the people behind him. So forget about the fact that he's withering away before your eyes, because it's the dozens of nameless, faceless people behind him that are actually on the ballot. They were saying this.
I know. And speaking of which, you remember that one chick who was a giant, heavily entrenched Dem fundraiser who came out and started blowing the whistle basically on what was going on with the Kamala money?
Yes.
Well, Sean Ryan had her.
Sure, Obama's third term. I don't think that's even a question. But also, he didn't have much faith in Kamala Harris. Before she ascended to the top role, he was vetting people like Mark Kelly and Andy Bashir.
So who is running it? Who are the names? A lot of people say it was Obama's third term. There's rumors of, and these are friends of mine that are moderate Democrats say that they thought it was Elizabeth Warren running it. They thought it was Bernie Sanders running it. But I think the general consensus, I think if you asked, the majority of the population, I think it was Obama's third term.
It was for sure Obama's third term. I don't think that's even a question. I don't think anyone, it definitely was. And that's why you saw Obama fighting for his dear life. Why was he fighting so hard in the fall? Because he was fighting for his fourth term. He was fighting for his own legacy. The relationship between Obama and Biden is most reminiscent of that between LBJ and JFK. JFK had little respect for Lyndon B. Johnson, but he picked him anyway because he wanted to win the South. He wanted to win Texas. But he had very little respect for LBJ's intellect. JFK was surrounded by his Harvard brain trust, and he had immense disdain for LBJ's Texas Hill Country vibe. And that was the same attitude that Obama had towards Biden. Obama thought that Biden would eventually fuck everything up. And that's eventually actually what happened. So, but also he didn't have much faith in Kamala Harris. Before she ascended to the top role, he was vetting people like Mark Kelly and Andy Bashir. Most party chieftains didn't have Kamala Harris as their number one choice. But in the party of DEI, you can't skip a black woman. The optics would have been terrible.
So who is running it? Who are the names?
Steve Ricchetti, his senior advisor, Anita Dunn, Mike Donnellan, Ron Klain, Jeff Zients, Bob Bauer, his personal lawyer, who's actually his personal lawyer, who actually released a book basically grifting off his relationship with the Bidens. I'm going to get in so much trouble for saying all this. Please give me credit but these are the people who ran our country for the last 4 years.
So let's go through each name for all of the audience. Not everybody is as tuned in with who's who in the political world.
As a general overview, these are the people who made a living off of their connection with Biden. It's like they were leeching off the Biden name for decades, and all of them realized that they would never work for another president, so they had to ride the gravy train all the way through, They would ride it to the very end, and that's why all of them refused to concede the truth, which is that Biden is unfit, and he would have been comatose by the time he was 86.
Who's the first name you mentioned?
Steve Ricchetti, the same guy who put his own kid at the Treasury.
Who is he? What's his position?
His most senior White House senior advisor. Like all of them are White House counselor or White House senior advisor. And they are the gatekeepers of the president.
Who's the next name?
Mike Donnellan, the same guy who's feeding, I'm just going to say it like it is, feeding Biden fake numbers telling him that he would win, he would beat Trump. Like, are you, like, seriously, are you kidding me? And the truth of the matter is, by the time Biden was going to drop out, he was on track to lose the Electoral College by 400 votes. Trump was on track to get 400 Electoral College votes. Not a typo. I'm not misspeaking. 400 electoral votes by the time he
Kamala
dropped
actually
out.
did better, huh?
And Mike Donnellan, his pollster, whom he, I mean, they go back decades.
I have to play more of this so you get to the next part because it's mind-blowing here.
By the way, the major qualification for all these folks is that they know Biden really well. These aren't like PhDs or like rocket scientists or anything like that. It's just because of loyalty. And they've stayed with him for a number of years.
For real quick to stop it, for all the shit they give Trump about his I want loyalty.
Yeah, I know.
This next part here really blew my mind.
So Mike Donnellan, Nancy Pelosi actually called him out. And she said, show me the numbers, Mike. Like, show me where you're getting these numbers that show that Biden can still beat Trump. And Donnellan wasn't able to deliver. No such numbers exist.
Who's the next name?
Who did I say? Anita Dunn. I actually have a soft spot for Anita Dunn because she got iced out of the Biden circle in July, August of this past year because she dared to say, maybe it's a good idea for the president to shy away from his convicted felon of a son because the optics aren't great.
Why do you have a soft spot for somebody who's running the country in the shadows to the ground?
Because she dared to speak up. She's the only one who did. She's the only one who dared to utter criticism.
But we went 4 years.
I know, but she's the only
shit.
one who did anything a little bit different, you know? And she got exiled. She got kicked out of the White House.
When?
So she's July.
Time
So she
to
got
close.
booted out. And then not only her husband got booted out. Her husband, Bob Bauer, was Biden's personal attorney. So after Anita... Oh, so I should also mention that after the debate, Hunter basically commandeered the White House. He sat in on all the White House top-level meetings. You had a former cocaine addict sitting in on the most sensitive meetings of the most consequential and important government in world history. Does that sit right with you?
No.
Without security clearance, mind you. No security clearance. That's who was basically running the show. So Hunter basically battened down the hatches after the debate to make sure that his father would only receive intel that he pre-approved. And so Anita Dunn got exiled around this time, along with her husband. Her husband was playing Trump in the debate prep. Ron Klain was disgraced after the debate blew up. And then Jeff Zients, the person who's worth like hundreds of millions of dollars, the chief of staff. I should mention that the weekend that Biden made the decision to drop out, he only told two people in that circle, and that's that's Steve Ricchetti and Mike. He didn't tell Anita because I was on a call with Anita that morning and she had no idea it was going to happen. It completely caught her off guard.
It caught everybody off guard, which is why this whole discussion about this kind of internal coup that they launched upon themselves to trash the people that were screwing them all. You know that AI generated movie where Biden basically takes it to Obama and says, "Here, this is what you get for doing what you did and trying to, engineer me leaving." It was AI and it was fake, but I said it was so close to reality. She goes on now to talk about Jill Biden and what Jill Biden was doing in the White House. And she knows.
I mean, it's who I'm thinking about? I'm thinking about so many things, but especially the people on Twitter and elsewhere who make a living off of they have no clue. I mean, maybe some of them do have a clue, but I think many of them are just really out of touch paid shill retards, like the younger ones, Harry Sisson and all them. Like this is startling. This right here is startling. It's one thing to say, hey, well, I don't need to know. I don't need anybody to tell me that Joe Biden's in bad physical shape. I can assess body language. I can see this. I can assess cognitive function, especially when you have to be in the public eye if you are the president of the United States. But it's another thing to get this kind of testimony. This is startling.
You want to hear the rest of it? It's another 3 minutes.
Why not?
Why not is right. It's something. Here we go.
So by that time, they were already easing her out of the circle.
Is there any? Did we cover all the names?
Did we? Jill Biden?
Jill Biden.
She was like president. She was president. I was with Joe and Jill the night of the debate. I was at their VIP debate watch party. I slept all the way to Atlanta, Georgia for that, to show my support. Oh my gosh, Sean, you wouldn't believe it. So that night, I have the pictures too. I was with Joe, and so Jill takes Joe by the hand. The names are so similar, I'm sorry. Jill takes Joe by the hand on stage, and she's like, Joe, you knew all the facts. You answered all the questions. And you know that hand gesture that she does. And I'm thinking, you're treating him like a first grader.
All of us were thinking
that. Like, just because
all of us.
We knew it.
Like, you shouldn't applaud him for doing the basics.
No, it was that day. It was that day that we were looking at that when Jill brought him out and she took control of the situation like that. That was the first time that I looked at Jill Biden, because first ladies, they give them the school lunch program. They have they get to decorate the White House, whatever. And of course, over the years, I mean, Woodrow Wilson's wife was essentially the president for a little while there after he had his stroke toward the tail end of his second term. Joe Biden was demented the entire time. And, so Jill Biden's complicity was always implied there because she would understand her husband better than anybody. And they were going to go through with this. But especially the last year and a half is when I realized that Jill Biden was a lot less of a wallflower and a lot more of a fucking monster. Because anybody to do what she was doing
to her
in
husband,
2020, oh man, what a monster.
Terrible.
It takes. What a monster it takes to do that.
Terrible. Let's see what else here.
And you could just tell that she was fighting for dear life to hold on to the vestige of power. And just a few days later, she was on the cover of Vogue. So the whole thing was a Jill Biden show. She was not as authentic as Joe, I want to say. I think as Joe got older, maybe you think I'm naive in saying this, but I'm not even sure if he remembers all of the corruption that he engaged in.
It doesn't surprise me.
Like, I don't think he had a full understanding of what was going on.
I don't think anybody would argue that.
No matter where you're watching Sean Ryan.
That show, get your ass over and watch that whole show.
Yeah, no, that's that. And just from somebody who spent a lot of time with my grandmother in the last years of her life as she started becoming more and more senile, spent a lot of time with her. And growing up, my grandmother was very hard to be around. Okay, very hard to be around. It was hard to show and receive affection from her. It just, I don't know. It's very hard to please. But she became so meek and jolly, and as she became more and more senile and forgetting things, and of course she became almost like more childlike. That's why when I'm looking at Joe Biden, I understand the legacy attached to this man as you go farther and farther back into his life, but assessing him in his current state and knowing what happens to people when they go into these more delirious times in life when you're losing cognitive function. I mean, I couldn't hate the man because he wasn't there anymore. That guy that we all have what happened?
I don't know. It froze. Hold
Tracy?
on. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? We lost you for a second. My internet connection went out. Go ahead, finish your thought.
I don't know where I was at, but it essentially came down to the fact where, not losing track of who Joe Biden is, and more importantly was, and how he was being used in his current state, assessing him physically. I know. I just know. I don't know
what happens. Anybody that has anyone who's suffered from any form of dementia or Alzheimer's or any of that understands what and I've been accused of like having too much empathy because I feel bad for him. He's being used and abused and exploited.
Oh, listen, I felt the same way. It was, as infuriating as it was, and he was still willing to read the scripts and call more than half the country terrorists and all. Mm-hmm. He was still willing to do all that. So, I mean, there are choices being made along the way, even if he forgot those choices. If he had the memory of a goldfish, I don't know. But there were times that like the day that he put the MAGA hat on.
Yeah.
The day that they put the MAGA hat on, I'm just like, man, can you imagine? It just at least gave me a moment to say, can you imagine if this is really the way how civil things were? And this is not just some weird flash in the pan moment of
if we could actually like I wouldn't mind Democrats running for office if they were sane. Like, it doesn't bother me if we have a a normal Democrat who cares about the country first, but just has some little different ideas about how to go about things. But we don't have that here anymore.
No.
We don't have sanity in the other major political party. And I would argue in most of the Republican Party either. They have no choice right now, but then to go along with whatever the whole narrative, they have no choice.
I know, and that's the next thing that comes up for us, because there are people who are just embedded in an old way of doing things, and then there are also people who have the added horror of actually being insane.
Yeah, and there are those Republicans who are wildly and deeply entrenched into the crap that we're about to see unfold as DOJ gets into other sectors of the government. Get into the defense industry. See what happens to Republicans then.
Oh, I know. And I want it so badly. But here's the problem. There needs to be a very significant, and it needs to start immediately, a very significant congressional presence felt to make whatever we're seeing right now last.
Yes, exactly. It's all EOs, and it's the same thing. I get when you come in, you got to do that to grab the reins. He cut off all the funding to the groups that could undermine him.
Right.
I get it. But this stuff, we need to pass laws.
So we're talking about, it doesn't even have to be a page long.
Mm-hmm.
The Department of so-and-so is hereby and immediately eliminated. However you have to draw it all out for the remittance of the remaining dollars and whatever the hell else. I mean, this needs to be acts of Congress. We have to bolt the doors shut.
100%. I agree with you. I agree. But that woman that we were just watching, I forget her name, Lindy Lee, I think her name is. She raised hundreds of millions of dollars. She was a bundler. She raised hundreds of millions of dollars for the Democrats, and they basically spit on her, and she lost it. And listen, do I believe everything she says? She has an axe to grind. I don't take anything anybody says at 100% certainty. Could she be playing some kind of a role? Possibly. I don't know. But she's been doing this for a while now. I'm going to listen to the entire Sean Ryan show and see what she says.
Okay.
For sure. I want to move we have 15 minutes. There's been a whole bunch of this lately. Representatives in Congress, wars in the disclosure community, the UFO stuff that's coming out and has been coming out for a while now. There's been a number of people who have come out and kind of unmasked themselves and said what they're doing. There's a couple documentaries on their way out. This is a trailer of one of them that's got my...
The American people are ready to receive the truth.
I don't hear any sound.
Humanity is.
Oh, you don't hear the sound. Hold on. Hold on, because I restarted the meeting, so I have to reshare my audio. We're going to start it over. This one really raises red flags for me. You'll see why in a second.
The American people are ready to receive the truth.
Humanity is not the only intelligence in the universe.
Humanity is not the only intelligent species.
We are absolutely not alone. Non-human intelligence exists.
UAPs are real, they're here, and they're not human. I spent 25 years as a senior official with the CIA.
I worked on highly classified UAP programs.
28 years as an astrophysicist.
I served as the 4th Director of National Intelligence.
Director of Aviation Security in the National Security Council.
A one-star admiral after 32 years of service.
People that come forward with this, I feel like they've taken their life in their own hands.
I was recruited to a highly sensitive government program that investigated unidentified aerial phenomenon.
For over 16 years, on behalf of the U.S. government, I worked as a senior intelligence official on the unidentified aerial phenomenon topic.
We learned that the U.S. government was involved in a long-running secret war with other nations to collect and reverse engineer vehicles not made by humans.
I have seen with my own eyes non-human craft and non-human beings.
So look at that thing. It's rotating. There's a whole fleet of them.
The first country that cracks the code on this technology will be the leader for years to come.
China has established its own version of a UAP task force.
You think for a second that they wouldn't consider using it to achieve their ends of domination?
Stopping it. The rest of it is the same. I'll put it in the show notes. It's the same military-esque tone on UAP and whatever. And any documentary that has James Clapper. I mean, I don't know if Podesta's in here anywhere.
Yeah, like all the other Greer films.
Yes. Now, I have another trailer to show you too, but this really got me. This man has given me the heebie-jeebie-skeebies from day one. This really got me.
RFK Jr.'s presidential ball. A guy came up to me, was an AI executive, and threatened me and said I should stand down if I knew what was good for me, etc. He was kind of spooky dude. I didn't get his name. I'm bad with names. But I said, look, we're going to have to deal with it. I gave him my card. I'm not, people threaten me all the time. But he was an AI guy. And there's some skullduggery going on there. But that's not.
First of all, I was there. I was at this ball.
Did you see him walking around?
No, but there's a picture of him here. And I'm trying to see what this is in the background here. What step and repeat that is, and I can't make it out. It looks like the Maha step and repeat, truthfully. Now, he's not affiliated with Maha at all. He just probably bought tickets to this ball, and there's a lot of tech people, that hang out around the Maha movement and every other Trump movement. But I can't, I've tried, Frank. I've watched so much of his stuff. I've tried so hard. I can't trust that man. He gives me the heebies.
He's been saying the same thing for years too.
Yeah.
And I it's just one of those people where many years ago, whenever he would show up, I'd be there listening, just like Michio Kaku or at a point, Neil deGrasse Tyson. I would just, hey, I can't get enough. They're on Coast to Coast. They're on whatever the hell it is. I'm getting threatened all the time. Why? Nothing's happening.
No. And, he's been out for the past couple months saying, oh, there's going to be people that step forward. I can't name them. They're going to say things. It's going to happen before the inauguration. He's on all kinds of different podcasts in every realm there is. Even in the spiritual class/new age realm, he's been on podcasts there. Because I consume materials from all over in these spaces, just so I can kind of have an idea of where this is going. This is, I initially thought the people behind this were the Greer people, but I'm starting to think that that's actually not the case. And there's like a warring faction of supposed disclosure folks that want their version of disclosure out. Here, watch this one.
I could see what looked like the sun, the same size, but it was more blood red.
And somebody points up in the sky. We all look up, and there are a ton of different little lights in the sky.
And they flew out away, and they come back together, and they went around in circles. It looked like somebody choreographed them.
See what looked like bright stars descending slowly.
And it just like dropping, like I said, it looked like a piece of hot steel or something.
And that's when the panic set in,
It was really dark. You just looked like little creatures, little skinny, like a shadow almost.
It's about 5 feet off the ground, just sitting there hovering, and it looked like an egg came straight at me. And next thing I know, I'm in a black room. This light started to appear around me, to where I began to see these 3 shadowy figures. Felt like a bubble that I could touch the walls, but I couldn't see them. And I'm seeing the Sphinx from the rear. Then I see Hathor's temple, and this is the lady. Everybody talks about this figure, the lady. On the gaze of the Sphinx, Regulus should appear right on top of the sand. That at that moment would be a shift into a whole new consciousness, a new knowledge.
I'm going to name an agency. You just say yes or no, whether they contacted you, whether you had contact with them. CIA?
Yes.
DIA?
Yes.
DOD?
Yes.
NSA?
Yes. And many more.
You met a gentleman by the name of Tim Taylor.
He goes to Camp David and meets with the president. I introduced Tim Taylor to Diana Pasulk, and they became friends, and then they went over to the archives. There was a ceremony in my honor that they held, and they put my picture and the picture of the archives when they went in the basement.
There is a famous video out there of one of these UFOs taking down one of these rockets that they were shooting up.
I've seen it.
Who showed this to you?
Taylor did. It's things I don't want to talk about.
In the book, there is mention of metamaterials.
I had people coming here from D.C. telling me if I could get another piece of it, it'd be worth $1 billion.
Yeah. There, look! Look! What is that?
They see these 3 dome lights coming in. They look over them, there's this bright light over them. My dad blacks out and he wakes up and it's like missing time and everything. He's like, he was abducted.
What we just saw
looks like Myrtle Beach.
Probably the craziest thing that I have ever seen.
They're doing this live stuff.
Now that's not the same people that came out recently saying that they're working with their mind. They're getting into like the hypnagogic state. That's Ryan Bledsoe, I want to say. I don't know if I'm getting the name right. There's like 4 or 5 different disclosure narratives coming out. Some of them having to do with human ability and psi to call in craft. Some of them having to do with an alien race that wants to kill us all coming in. There's like 7 different disclosure narratives peppered around that are warring with each other.
To what degree is AI and Stargate involved?
And there's so many common terms being interwoven between them all, like the egg term, for example. I don't know. But it's a wild west out there. And just what you're seeing on the screen there, Frank, is not what's being broadcast. Just so you know, that haze over me, I don't know what that is.
What haze?
Like, you don't see a haze over my video in your Zoom window?
You look a little bit lighter?
Yeah, it's not like that on the actual thing.
Oh, okay. All right.
But like, there's all these different, and Anna Paulina Luna is at the center of all of them. Anna Paulina Luna, for example, here. She said on the Benny Show the other day, she's like, there's going to be this big announcement. It's bigger than disclosure. You should all be paying attention to it. I don't know if it has anything to do with disclosure. She's been like in there with the disclosure bit. But she says Spielberg's upcoming UFO movie retitled, Disclosure. I guess he retitled the movie from what it was titled before.
I think that's the movie that he was I think he was going to be producing something that Diana Pasulka had worked on. When I had interviewed Diana in 2023 or so, that's when she was kind of just putting out there that that this project was getting slapped together. I wonder if it's the same one.
It might be. I don't know. But Anna Paulina Luna has been retweeting UFO content and having like, and this is not like a crew that I'm in. So like, I don't know any of these people that are in this UFO, disclosure movement or any different movements. I've just been an observer, strictly an observer. I never input anything. The only thing I've said is anytime you have James Clapper in a documentary, it's bullshit. James Clapper couldn't tell the truth about anything if it smacked him in the face. He's got motives.
Steven Spielberg and UFOs might as well be Podesta and UFO. I mean, so
Anna Paulina Luna is like the UFO disclosure expert in the Congress, apparently, with Nancy Mace and a couple of the other ones. And I don't even know, like, in my opinion, we'll end with this, I guess. In my opinion, the only good disclosure will be personal disclosure that you experience. That's it.
Confirmation.
Yeah. Because you can't trust anything that anybody's saying. You have to just figure out where you sit best with things. Like, and go there. And I'm going to be talking about more of this on the show because it's definitely something that it will be becoming very, very important and discussed in the months to come for sure. So.
Well, it's we're on the precipice of several major things, and I guess we're going to see how they shake out. As always, we're going to have to see.
Yeah.
And but the good thing is that the pace, which was already quick, seems to be quickening even more so. So hopefully the wait is not too long.
For sure. Well, welcome back to the Friday shows, Frank.
Well, welcome back in general. I mean, you've been gone just in general, so it's this is your first week back.
Today's show will be called Frank with Beanz. Episode 5, Big Balls. And we will see you next week.
See you next week, everybody. Later.
Later.